The Fall of America by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Chapter 13. Evil Spreading Far Wide. Never since the creation of Adam and Eve have there been such chaotic times as we are witnessing today, with the worst yet to come. Chapter 13. There is no peace among the nations of the earth. Evil spreading far wide. The only few people who enjoy peace of mind since the creation of Adam in day and time have there been such chaotic times as we are those they are persecuted from city to city yet to come. Chapter 13. There is no peace among the nations of the earth. Evil spreading far wide. The only few people who enjoy peace of mind since the creation of Adam day and time have there been such chaotic times as we are those they are persecuted from city to city yet to come. Chapter 13. There is no peace among the nations of the earth. Evil spreading far wide. The only few people who enjoy peace of mind since the falsely accused and denied the credit due to them because of their righteousness in the midst of the wicked who have ruled the world. By no means can the righteous be represented for their righteous sake by the evildoers of the world. God is despised and rejected. Evil is accepted and honored. Justice stands afar off, and equity cannot come in, says the prophet Isaiah in the Bible. The Holy Quran warns us to fear a day when evil is spread far and wide in the days of God's presence at the end of the satanic world to bring it to naught. Allah God causes the evil world to be upset since they have been the enemies of peace and the haters and destroyers of the righteous who would have brought them peace if they had accepted those worthy, the prophets. But they rejected all. Jesus charged them with being the murderers of the righteous from Abel to Zechariah. We can very well add more and say from Abel to Muhammad. Today, America professes to be the most Christianized country on our planet, but actually she is not, for Christian means to be crystallized into one. Spiritually, that one refers to the Christ. Christ means the one who is coming at the end of the world of the wicked as a crusher. His name actually means one who is anointed to crush the wicked. The real satanic people are the white race, who have disguised themselves to deceive the black people to follow them. They just use the name Christian, which means to be Christ-like. They have set up a head for their religion in Rome, Italy, with the Pope or Father, who represents himself as being the intercessor or vice-regent, meaning one who is second only to Christ or God and intercedes for the people's sins in recognition of God. But he has no divine backing. This false regime should be destroyed by the Christ, the crusher of the wicked, the great Mahdi of Islam, Allah God in person. These are the days of God's or Christ's presence to destroy this evil world with all the deceptions that the people should again labor under a wicked and merciless ruler, the devil. The presence of Allah has upset the devils, who have had and exercised total control over the world under falsehood and have made evil to appear fair seeming. The so-called Christian world has never before displayed such madness as they do today. Since they cannot hide their real wickedness and deceitful ways, they are angry. According to the preaching and teaching of Christianity, they prophesied that they alone would be the happy group that would welcome the coming of the Messiah, the Christ, or the Mahdi. But the Bible condemns them, that they were angry and sought to hide their faces from him, God. It should be clear to you today that Christian America does not want such preaching as entire submission to the will of Allah, Islam. The Christians hate the very names of God, such as Muhammad, Omar, Kareem, Ali, Hassan, which are attributes of God. The Jesus prophesied that they would hate you for his, God's namesake, for having one of his names, because the names of God are to live forever. No, the names of God are to live forever. No other people on earth have the names of God but the Muslims. So the coming of the Just One makes manifest to you this evil race of sinners, and they will be against his, God's presence, be angered because of him, and will seek to destroy him and his messenger, as it is prophesied. 2 Psalms.
Purchase the books, CDs, and DVDs of the Life-Giving Teachings at store.finalcall.com. Listen to the messages of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan 24/7 at finalcallradio.com. Watch the Nation of Islam's weekly and live broadcasts at NOI.org.
The stronghold of the American government is falling to pieces. She has lost her prestige among the nations of the earth. He's talking about America. One of the greatest powers of America was, past tense, her dollar. The loss of such power will bring any nation to weakness, for this is the media of exchange between nations. The English pound and the American dollar have been the power and the beckoning light of these two great powers, America and the United Kingdom. But when the world went off the gold and silver standard, the financial doom of America and England was sealed. At the time of his writing, the pound had already lost 50% of its value. That's the British pound. And America's dollar has lost everything now as power backing for her currency. Today, our talk will be devoted to that which we depend on to buy goods and services, which is called the US dollar. I recognize that we love the Benjamins. So I happened to find a few, and I brought them out because we have become enslaved to the symbolic power of a dollar that really is losing its value every day. We have deceived for this. We have tricked for this. We have lied for this. We have killed for this. At the death of our loved ones, we have fought over this and what this could buy of material things. So today, I want to talk about the dollar. Yes, sir. But I want to start with something that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, since he's my teacher, and the base of what I'm going to say in his book, The Fall of America. What? A man wrote a book like that? Yes, he did. And on page 87, he talks about the decline of the dollar. Today, if it is the will of God, I hope to be able to show you why we can no longer trust in this as the God we trust. But we better learn, and quickly, who is the God that we should put trust in, because putting trust in this in a few days, you're going to see men with Benjamins lighting their cigars, because the value of this will be worthless. Follow us today. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad writes, the stronghold of the American government is falling to pieces. She has lost her prestige among the nations of the earth. He's talking about America. One of the greatest powers of America was, past tense, her dollar. The loss of such power will bring any nation to weakness, for this is the media of exchange between nations. The English pound and the American dollar have been the power and the beckoning light of these two great powers, America and the United Kingdom. But when the world went off the gold and silver standard, the financial doom of America and England was sealed. At the time of his writing, the pound had already lost 50% of its value. That's the British pound. And America's dollar has lost everything now as power backing for her currency, which once was backed by gold. For every $5 note and up, you could take this paper and go to a bank and get $5 in gold. And from the $1 note up, you could go to the bank and get silver. But now you can't get gold, you can't get silver. When this falls, you can't get anything for the dollars that you fight over, that you hoard, that we amass. He said, the note today is something that the government declares they will give you the value in return, but America does not name what that value is. Then he says, the fall of the dollar is the number one fall. Everything else will come down if this falls, or rather, more correctly, when this falls. Now, he doesn't go on to prophesy what will happen if there's 100% inflation. He said, well, your guess is as good as mine. What should we expect? He says, even in the next 12 months. Well, I think there's enough information out there now that we might be able to safely predict what we're going to face in the next 12 months, in the next 24 months, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years. We don't have a lot of time. Now, all of us that are Christians And I say this to my Muslim family. This is a Christian country. No matter how much we love the Quran and the beauty of the Quran, you cannot converse with the people of America unless you develop a good understanding of that which they believe in. So Prophet Muhammad is our example. He could talk to Christians, to Jews, to Zoroastrians. It didn't make any difference what their religion was. He knew something about what they believed, so he could teach them out of their books, then bring them to the book that God was revealing to him. Having said that, we shall open to the book of Revelations. We shall start with the 17th chapter because it's very important that we understand what John the Revelator was seeing of the end times, because it's clear that we are living in the end times. Every sign that you could think of that the Bible and the prophets foretold, you can see it already manifesting, that we are living at the end of this system of things. Now, John says an angel came and he carried me away in the spirit in the wilderness. See, this word wilderness is a tricky word. What wilderness? See, a wilderness is a place that's uncultivated, undeveloped. And here's John carried into the wilderness. I'm going to make it a little plainer as time goes on by the guidance of Allah and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. And she had a golden cup in her hand that was full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Now that's a heck of a description. A man carried out in a wilderness, he sees a woman decked in all this finery, sitting on a beast. Well, what kind of place is that for a dignified woman? Sitting on a beast, and the woman had gold and precious stones and pearls. I mean, she had paper. And more than paper, she had material substance. But the woman was holding a cup in her hand that was gold, but in it was abomination and the filthiness of her fornication. And upon her head was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Now this woman was so stink. I have to find a better word. She was so nasty that she was the mother of harlots. Now you know, you popularized the word hoe. Everyone is a hoe. Well, this woman was the mother of hoes. She was not only the mother of hoes, she was the mother of whores. But she was not only the mother of these kind of women, she was the mother of the abominations that were practiced throughout the earth. And I saw that woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. She was wicked. Then it talked about how she had 7 heads. 7, I think it was 7, yeah. 7 heads and 10 horns. Now, you know, we read this stuff, we don't know what the heck we're reading. Some woman got 7 heads. Now, you know that would scare us half to death. You would never fornicate with a woman that had 7 heads. This is a scary woman. But the people were fornicating with her. No, what kind of man would that be? And what kind of head did he have? Then John the Revelator said, I'm going to tell you the mystery of the woman and the beast that carried her, which had 7 heads and 10 horns. Then it says, the 10 horns, well, let's start with the 7 heads. John the Revelator said it meant 7 mountains. Yes, sir. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. And then another angel came, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen and is become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Now look how deep this is getting. John says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Now, just a few definitions here. This Babylon was called Mystery Babylon. Yes, sir. Mystery. Well, we know the history of ancient Babylon. That's no mystery. We already know that one. But this one is a mystery Babylon. And according to the dictionary, mystery is something not fully understood. It's a religious truth comprehensible only by divine revelation. It's a mystery. Now, the Old Testament says that Babylon could have been healed. No matter how bad Babylon was, Babylon could have been healed. But she was not. Her rulers were so arrogant in ancient Babylon. They had the people of God in their midst. They had defiled the people of God. And they did not want to release them so that God could use them. So that started a fight with God. And ancient Babylon was so blind by her own sense of power that they refused to consult history that would have taught them that no enemy has ever won a fight against God. So Babylon should have known, hey, the jig is up. God is angry with me. I better cool out and do what God say. Not Babylon. Babylon rejected the warner that God had placed in her midst. So the neighboring nations rose up against Babylon, and Babylon was destroyed. And the neighboring nations that dealt with her felt the weight of her fall, because her fall contributed to their fall, because Babylon was a world power. Now, we are not talking about ancient Babylon. We're referring today to the mystery Babylon that is found in the book of Revelations that gives us a hint of the end times. This mystery Babylon was holding a golden chalice. It was gold on the outside. She represented, this mother of harlots represented something so precious, so foundational to success as gold on the outside, a purified material that was formed into a cup that beckoned the world to such a beautiful exterior. But inside, she was filled with abominations and filth of every kind. The standard that Babylon represented was freedom, justice, equity, the rule of the masses. She represented material strength, where one's needs could be fulfilled and all within her society could be whatever they determined they wanted to be. But she was a golden chalice on the outside, but unfortunately the scripture teaches that she was filled with filth and abomination of every kind on the inside. And when our behavior is abominable, what that means is so bad till it incites the loathing and hatred of God for that conduct.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. I greet you, my dear beloved brothers and sisters, in the greeting words of peace. We say it in the ancient tongue of Arabic. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Welcome, 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 dear beloved family, to another episode of the Imagination Show. My name is Brother Leo Muhammad, and sitting alongside me is my beloved wife and friend, Sister Claudia Muhammad.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all in the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, beloved.
Thank you once again for joining us for another edition of the Imagination Show. Thank you so much.
Praise be to Allah, dear family. You know, it's really incredible, because I think I've explained before on occasion that I really don't listen completely to the 30 minutes or so that we choose to play of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, because the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is so powerful and so profound that really it doesn't need vetting as such in order to really give an insight to human beings about the majesty of the Word of God. All I do is I try to find one of the lectures that pertains to the subject matter and then let it play. But as I listened just now to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, it's just so beautiful and just so on time. And in truth, you know, the part that really got me was this linkage between Britain and America, and how in reality, if you understand what is being taught, they are in truth and indeed one and the same. You see how the dollar and the pound is linked, how their destinies are linked, how, for instance, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was reading the scripture and talking about the mystery Babylon and talking about Babylon the Great. And it's no accident that this nation has the audacity to refer to itself as Great Britain.
That's right.
And how, you know, America today is really taken over the leading of empire from Britain, but yet they remain one and the same, linked at the hip, linked at the chest, linked at the head, linked at the heart. Dear family, as always at this time, we want to encourage you to call a friend, a relative, a loved one, let them know that the Imagination Show is live right now on Zoom and also on YouTube. And of course, we want to encourage you, dear family, as always, to click that like button, man. You know, we see often so many people on the platform enjoying or taking in the show, but you're not clicking the like, which helps the algorithms to really push the show forward. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And dear family, you know, if you would like to make a contribution, a donation to the Imagination Show to help us to continue our works that we bring each and every week, then please feel free to do so. Dear family, I hope you are good. Sister Claudia,
go ahead. My greetings, our greetings to Johnny Mitchell, Jamila Burns, 8th Electronics, 147_Savage, our elder Charles in Jacksonville, Florida, Patrick Pat, assalamu alaikum to you, Stephen Brown, enjoying Jamaica.
Mandeville in Jamaica, praise be to Allah.
What a blessing, Enjoy.
A good friend of ours just came back from Jamaica a few days ago, and he was, you know, really waxing lyrical about how beautiful Jamaica is. And Jamaica
and I was yesterday, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I saw I haven't been there for years.
Yes.
It looked really beautiful, very modern.
Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful places on the planet.
Mm,
You know, unfortunately, it's just that so many of our people are destroyed through the lack of knowledge
that's
and,
right.
you know, misrepresent ourselves based on that ignorance. But
That's right.
Jamaica as a place,
Beautiful.
absolutely beautiful.
That's right. Also, sorry, Assalamu alaikum, Sister Marva Muhammad. And from our brother, greetings, Assalamu alaikum, our brother in Somalia. And to General Louverture, Assalamu alaikum to you, and to Sister Celestine, and to Sister, why am I forgetting? She's going to curse me. When I, Paulette 2X.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Praise be to Allah. Are these family members on
Yes.
Zoom? Okay, praise God. All right, family. Well, without further ado, we want to get right into our subject matter today because we really want to get through. All right. We don't want to waste any time because time is of the essence, and we don't want to just have a long meeting for the sake of having a long meeting. We want to get the point across and allow you to continue with the rest of your day. Welcome to episode 199 of the Imagination Show. Today is Thursday, September the 11th, 2025. And the title of our show today is The Fall of America 9/11. The Fall of America, dear family, 9/11. So let's get into it right now. We hope everybody is good. We hope everybody is well and that your families are thriving and doing great things and that you are challenging yourself every day to do better, that you have embarked on this process of self-improvement, the basis for community development, and that you're not looking back, but you are going forward. Dear family, in his monumental book, The Fall of America, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad predicted the ultimate doom of America based on the fact that her wickedness exceeds all the acceptable norms of human and civilized behavior, and that as a nation, America has offended Almighty God Allah himself. This is where the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan finished off just now in the lecture we were listening to. They have literally offended God. They have angered God. You see, it's not a lightweight thing, dear family. On page 59 of The Fall of America, it says, and every nation has a term. So when its term comes, they cannot remain behind the least while, nor can they precede it. That's taken from the Holy Quran, chapter 7, verse 34. They can't jump ahead of it. They can't stay behind it. When their term is up, dear family, it's up. And we are saying to you with deep humility, America's time is now up. We are witnessing the fall of America. We are living in that time period of the fall of a once great nation, the unraveling of a once great nation, to repeat the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Dear family, the writing is on the wall for America. This saying, the writing is on the wall, is an idiom meaning that there are clear, undeniable signs that something bad is going to happen. Often a failure or misfortune. It suggests that an impending negative outcome is obvious. Let me just adjust something. Impending negative outcome is obvious to anyone who looks at the situation, and it's usually impossible to prevent. I want to repeat that. it's impossible to prevent this fall, which is indicated by the writing on the wall. The phrase originates from the biblical story in the book of Daniel, where a mysterious hand wrote a prophecy of doom on King Belshazzar's palace wall. And this is what we are witnessing in the modern era, starting with September the 11th, 2001, which then precipitated wars and rumors of wars, a double assassination attempt on the current president, and yesterday's assassination of the American right-wing political activist and Trump supporter, Charlie Kirk. Dear family, we are seeing the complete unraveling and destructive fall of America. This is what's happening. When you see these types of things happening within that nation, all of the school shootings, these rounding up by ICE of so-called illegal immigrants, the divide between the political entities within the nation, you are looking at the fall of America. This is what we are witnessing today. And make no mistake about it, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan touched on it. When America falls, all of her associates, all of her so-called allies, they fall right down with her, dear family. It's been 23 years since the September 11th, 2001. In fact, I think it's 24 years in truth. I've got 23 there, but I do believe if you do the calculation, it works out to 24 years. It's been 24 years since the September the 11th, 2001 so-called terrorist attacks, when we were told that 4 airlines were hijacked and crashed into the 110-story Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, bringing down these 2 massive steel-framed structures at free fall speed into their own footprints and killing nearly 3,000 people. This is the official story, dear family. On the day, another structure on the World Trade Center complex, the 47-story Building 7, also fell at free fall speed with no apparent cause. According to the news reports on the day, one of the airlines crashed into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., punching a deep hole and eventually bringing down a part of the structure. Just let me pause 1 second. See, because I don't know if you understand, brothers and sisters, how soft the nose of an airline is, and how by its design and ability to fly, it's not a nose that can punch through reinforced concrete walls deep into a structure like the Pentagon. But yet, if you see some of the images from that day, this is exactly what they tell us happened on the day. We'll move forward. We may touch on that a little bit again later. The 4th airline was reported to have crashed into a field in Pennsylvania after passengers challenged the hijackers. They've even made movies about this now. Challenged the hijackers, causing the plane to crash. This has been the official story. I put there in brackets, lie. The official story, which is the damnable lie that changed the world into a mass surveillance and fear of terrorism condition for the last 24 years. This is the reality, dear brothers and sisters, of 9/11, September the 11th, 2001, and the ramifications and the legacy of what happened on that day is still affecting the planet Earth to this very day. And not in a good way, but in a most negative way, dear brothers and sisters. Now, this is a clip that I wanted to play for you from a recent show on a podcast called The Young Turks, where they were talking about Tucker Carlson, who I'm sure many of you will be familiar with, who again is a big time news reporter who used to be with Fox News, but now has his own podcast. And questions are being asked now by many, many different people in many different walks of life about those events that took place 24 years ago, because up to this point, there has been no adequate explanations given for what went down on that day. So let's have a listen to what Tucker Carlson has to say.
The official story on 9/11 is a complete lie. The 9/11 report is a joke.
9/11 Commission, the cover-up.
So what did happen? What did the government know? What did foreign governments know?
Did you hear what he said? He said it's a complete joke. It's a lie. And now he's asking the question, what did the foreign governments know? What did the government of the United States of America know? You see, because, dear family, you know, this enemy is so wicked. The scripture says that Satan will deceive the whole world. And make no mistake about it, it's not some localized deception. This is deception of the entire planet in terms of what's happened and what continues to happen on our planet today.
Foreign governments know. There was a cover-up. Why? It's been nearly 25 years. It is time Americans learned what actually happened. We're going to tell you, we're releasing one episode per week. You're not going to want to wait. If you're a member, you don't have to. You get all 5 episodes the day it drops, right then, ad-free. Our first episode airs Thursday, 9/11, September 11th. You will not want to miss it. Join us now at tuckercarlson.com.
So,
the official story on 9/11 is a complete lie.
What Tucker Carlson is saying is that they have made a series, documentaries, starting today, okay, on his platform, and one they will drop one. I don't know if it's one a week or one a day or whatever, but this is what is happening today. Really looking at this whole situation of 9/11, and you heard how he began by saying that from his perspective, it's a big lie, and also it's a joke in terms of the inquiry that they had. And so, you know, let's look out for that, family, because as I said, questions are being asked because no real answers have ever been given. This is an image of the Marriott Hotel underneath the Twin Towers before September the 11th, 2001. Can you see the Marriott Hotel under there? What I'm doing today, I really just want to give you, just to remind us, because, you know, unfortunately, it seems that some of us have very short memories. And so we need to really appreciate the level of destruction, the type of thing that happened on American soil in New York on that day. This is the remains of the Marriott Hotel after the Twin Towers had been brought down. I mean, just look at that level of destruction. Bearing in mind, family, that, you know, this event began in the early morning hours in New York. And this is when people were on their way to work, people were at work, people were on the streets, people were in the hotels, people were doing. So just imagine the type of callous mindset that it takes, the kind of evil that one is able to do to instigate something like this, when you consider the effect that it would have on human beings. Never mind, you know, the property damage, but imagine the human beings that were in that building. Imagine the human beings who were in the Twin Towers. Now, this is Tucker Carlson really being grilled by this Piers Morgan, who I really can't stand this individual at all, because it seems to me that he's really a gatekeeper for the system, pretending to be some type of journalist. But I don't play any of what he has to say. I just picked out some of what Tucker Carlson had to say in order that you could hear some of the questions that he's posing when it comes to this subject on 9/11. And again, this was a program that was being aired on TYT, the Young Turks, which is their particular podcast. So I'm letting you know all of these things so that if you want to go and watch Piers Morgan or the Young Turks, you can find all of these things in their fullness on these shows.
Huge parts of the 9/11 story were left out of the commission report. For example, what happened to Building 7, which was not only not next to the Twin Towers, which were hit by airplanes, but had a building in between itself and those buildings, collapsed that afternoon for reasons that no one has been able to explain since. You're not a lunatic for asking. There's no plausible explanation for how that building collapsed. Well, so I don't know that the onus is on me or anyone who seeks the truth about what happened to come up with an alternative.
I mean, just think about it, family. Building 7, 47 stories, yet another steel frame building. And it just collapses around 5 o'clock that day after the Twin Towers have come down, 2 massive steel frame buildings. Never before in the history of fires in buildings as a steel frame building collapse. It just does not happen. Okay, but yet you got this third building, Building 7, coming down in what looked perfectly like a controlled demolition. When you see a controlled demolition, but to do a controlled demolition, you have to wire up that building with explosives in a very, very meticulous way. And that takes a long, long time. That's not something you can do in a few hours. That's over days and weeks, and sometimes even months of planning in order to bring that building down at free fall speed, where there's no resistance. None of the steel is resistant, because at the key points, the steel has been wired up with the explosive so that all of that resistance is removed in a systematic way as that building collapses. And these are the questions that Tucker Carlson is asking. Go ahead.
Hold on, I'll just, SMIB Traveler says there were more than 2,000 Jews that worked at the Twins, and not one of them came to work that day. They also said the black boxes were destroyed in the fires, but they were able to retrieve passports that were in great condition of the supposed hijackers.
Absolutely. And I really want to thank SMIB Traveler for that, because, this is what that demonstration shows to me, is that some of our people are awake and alert to the reality of what has happened. And what he's just shared with us is actual facts that so many so-called Jews were sent a message not to go to work that day. You see, and I think it come up later on in the show anyway. But thank you very much for that. And, how convenient that these black boxes, which are designed to survive crashes, designed, but yet they were destroyed, yet a paper passport of so-called Muhammad Atta, one of the so-called hijackers, was found on top of the rubble. How convenient, dear family. But, again, it's really for us to appreciate just how arrogant Satan has become and his minions have become, that they literally take the masses of the people for fools. You see, and they don't really have to provide. I remember when they murdered Steve Biko in South Africa, in a police cell, how they basically just said, oh, he fell over. They didn't even try to come up with a good excuse as to why the brother was pronounced dead or found dead or died in their custody because it's just arrogance. We don't need to give you any type of reasonable explanation for what we do. You see?
Theory, the onus is on federal authorities to explain why, for example, they never investigated it. Why, for example, the rubble and the steel from that building was carted off within hours and sent out of the country to Asia. Why, for example, an analysis done not by kooks.
Whenever you ever heard of anything like that? The rubble from Building 7 picked up and carted off to some Asian country when this is like a crime scene. This is one of the most important events of the 21st century that you would imagine needs forensic investigation, and all of that material should be, you know, preserved and looked into. But yet it's picked up, carted off to foreign lands so that nobody can examine the condition of the steel and the other materials that came down with Building 7. See, family, we have to really look into these things and examine why would they do something like that.
Sent out of the country to Asia. Why, for example, an analysis done not by kooks, but by chemists found traces of explosive material in the dust from that day. Why structural engineers who have kind of no skin in this game came to the conclusion that that just couldn't happen.
They found traces of explosives in the dust, in the rubble. Look at Piers Morgan's face. You know, it's like these people, man, and they will try and find, they'll try to do mental gymnastics to keep the big lie going, when all of these questions are questions that are without answers, because they can't answer, because none of it makes any sense other than that this was, in fact, an inside job, that this was something that was done by the government themselves. Oh, dear family, dear family.
And based on all available evidence, and that none of that is addressed at all or even mentioned in the 9/11 report. So, and there are all kinds of anomalies, as I know that you're fully aware, and there are possible explanations to explain all of them. For example, the BBC report on air saying the building had fallen when it hadn't fallen yet. Well, we know that people did know more.
Just think about that. On the day, the BBC reported that Building 7 had come down before it came down. Like they were reading from a script, but they went too early. They went before the building actually came down. How would they know? See, again, remember, Building 7 wasn't hit by no plane. There was no massive fire within Building 7 that could justify, or any type of incendiary device that, you know, anybody described that could have brought that building down, other than what we've said before, a controlled demolition. But why would it be that the BBC would be prematurely reporting that that building had also fallen before the event? You see, because they had been given a script from which to read, and somebody slipped up and went too early.
On air saying the building had fallen when it hadn't fallen yet. Well, we know that people did know more than we've been told. I mean, somebody shorted the airlines and a bunch of the banks that were affected. Now, this is not.
Are you listening, family? Shorted is talking about where people bet. Basically, it's like a bet on the stock exchange, the stock markets. They bet that the shares in a particular company are going to fall based on some event. See, and these people were shorting United Airlines and American Airlines, which are the two airlines that were supposed to have been hijacked on that day. They were betting that these shares were going to drop in value, that these companies were going to suffer some type of catastrophe, and therefore they made a lot of money by shorting these companies. How did they know? How did they know that something was going to happen to United Airlines and American Airlines on that day so that they could be betting in such a way, dear family? Very, very suspicious behavior.
He shorted the airlines and a bunch of the banks that were affected. Now, this is not a conspiracy theory. It's not a guess. This is publicly available information. Now, the FBI found out the identity of the person or institution that shorted these events on 9/11 and made a huge amount of money by.
And let me just say to our brother Stephen Brown, he says, Tucker Carlson is a sport liar. Look, let's just be very clear. I'm not here trying to defend Tucker Carlson. What Tucker Carlson is doing is what's described in the scripture as Satan casting out Satan. So we're not, trying to say that Tucker Carlson is some type of brilliant truth teller or something of that nature. No, 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 no. But what you're witnessing is Satan exposing Satan. This is when they turn on one another. This is when they expose one another. So, I'm just really wanting to be clear that even, what do they say about a clock? A broken clock is right at least twice a day. You see? And so, sometimes the devil will tell the truth on himself. And they do it all the time, by the way. They, most of what we know about what these people have been guilty of historically, they wrote it down. The secret relationship between blacks and Jews is not something made up by the research department of the Nation of Islam. It's the research department of the Nation of Islam looking into what Jewish rabbis, Jewish scholars, and other people have written about what they did to black people during the transatlantic slave trade and how they traded in us as a people and destroyed us as a human reality, how they financed the ships, etc., etc. See, so they again, they're so blatant in what they do that they often will record what they do. And then from time to time, you will have some of their own people, for their own political reasons or motivations, who will expose them. And so we have to keep our ears and our eyes open and not listen to somebody when they start telling the truth just because we know them to be racist or biased or anti-black in other dispensations or in other realities. We have to be wise enough to hear when Satan starts to cast out Satan. I hope that makes sense.
Doing that, but never released that information. So why can't we know who clearly had foreknowledge? I mean, if you're shorting American Airlines a week before 9/11, when no one knows it's coming, I think you should have to explain why you did that. And if you're shorting Barclays and banks that were affected by 9/11, why can't we know who you are? These are public markets, by the way. This is not private equity. This is publicly traded equities. So clearly, yes, there was foreknowledge. By the way, there was a team. This is according to the.
And by the way, again, Stephen Brown is saying he's not telling the truth. Yes, he is telling the truth. It's not just Tucker Carlson who has said these things. These things have been reported for years and years and years by many, many people. See, Tucker Carlson is the latest exponent of this reality, now doing a docu-series of 5 episodes. Now he's talking about these things, but long, long ago, and I'll prove it before the end of the show, we've had other, real truth tellers talking about this and then some. So, the idea, like I said, we can't be emotional about these things if we just don't like Tucker Carlson. So he's not telling the truth. I'm telling you, he's a liar. Yeah, we know he's a liar. They're all liars. But on this particular subject, he is not lying. He's telling the truth because it's verified truth by others and by truth tellers who have told this truth. I hope that makes sense.
FBI, by the way, this is the FBI saying there was a team of clearly intel-connected foreigners who were arrested after 9/11, as you well know, videotaping the terror attacks. I'm almost verbatim quoting from the FBI assessment of this. And the FBI determined that they apparently had foreknowledge of the attacks. So why can't we know more about that? Exactly. Shut up. That's bigoted. No, this is my country.
See, Tucker Carlson is quoting the FBI. You see, these are documented reports in terms of those people who were seen on the Hudson Bridge overlooking the site of the destruction of the Twin Towers, videotaping and celebrating. We'll go deeper into that in a few minutes. These are some of the iconic and horrific images that were generated on the day of September the 11th, 2001, just to jog your memory, just to remind you of the type of destruction that took place on that day. This video here really gives you an indication of the type of radio communications that was going on between the authorities, the airlines, and the authorities as this situation was unfolding on September the 11th, 2001.
American 11, are you trying to call?
The cockpit is not answering their phone. Our number 1 has been staffed and our 5 has been staffed.
Hey, I'm going to call from Washington. I am in a situation with American 11, a possible hijack.
What's going on, Betty? The aircraft is erratic again. Problem, very erratic.
Let me just pick up on Stephen Brown says, I'm not being emotional, brother. If you knew me, you would know that I'm telling you the truth. Well, you know, brother, the only reason why I would say not to be emotional is because you must be acting emotionally right now, because I'm telling you that I'm telling you the truth. I know that what Tucker Carlson is saying right now is the truth, because it's a verified truth. So for you to be insisting that he's lying, then there must be some ulterior motive or some other emotional factor that's at play here. Do you understand what I'm saying, dear brother? Because we're not, having a debate about whether what he's saying is true or not. The only reason why I would even put it on in the first place is because I know it's truth. It's verified truth. So this is the point. It's not about, if you've got an issue with Tucker Carlson, I can understand that. I can understand that because, like I said, it's Satan casting out Satan. However, what he is saying when it comes to this particular situation is the truth. That's the point. Let's go back into this video of what was happening on the day.
Back again. Problem, very erratic. Betty, talk to me. Betty, are you there? Betty? Betty?
The plane just right there. What?
What's
The 737?
It what?
The World Trade
Who are you
Center.
talking to?
Oh, God. Oh, my God.
United 175, New York. We have some problems over here right now.
Something that I want you to listen out for in this episode today is the amount of times people say, oh God, oh my God, oh God, oh my God. See, family, if we're only going to call on God at the time of disaster, but throughout our everyday lives, then we really got no inkling towards submitting our will to do the will of God and obeying God and being godly and godlike. It's a real problem, you see, because that's what's called really just taking the Lord's name in vain. It's a vain expression because you're not going to get no benefits or results from that. And it's just become almost like a swear word in truth when we utter his name in that manner.
United 175, New York. We have some problems over here right now. We might have a hijack over here, two of them. Jules, this is Ryan. Lives on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, and it's not looking good, I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. Go have a good time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you, and I'll see you later, sir. Bye, babe.
What are those people gonna do? All the elevators are blocked out.
Oh my God! So both towers are now.
Okay, I got an aircraft 6 miles east of the White House.
Crystal City, just north of Crystal City.
Just to the north of your town.
Yeah, stop all departures.
Pentagon just got hit. No for CNN. God damn it, I can't even protect my NCA.
United 93, that traffic for you is 1 o'clock, 12 miles eastbound 370.
Negative contact, we're looking, United 93.
United 93, Cleveland, if you hear the center right then.
I got that piece of dog. Keep remaining sitting. You have the ball board.
Tuesday, 9:47 a.m.
Hi, baby. Baby, you have to listen to me carefully. I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
According to actual facts, the technology for airline telephone calls to the ground in 2001 was not yet in existence. You couldn't make those kind of calls from an airplane, a passenger plane, in 2001. And so even those phone calls apparently were fake, whereby passengers on these so-called hijacked planes were supposed to be making telephone calls to their loved ones and leaving messages of that description. I just want us to think today, because there's so much, you know, you can't accept hardly anything that comes via the news media or comes via these people when they start to report on things that are supposed to have happened in the public arena. They're just so tricky, and there's so many lies.
We're 56865. We have, I believe it is a Boeing 757. Can you see him up there, sir?
That's confirmed. It looks like he's rocking his wings.
Roger.
He's rocking back and forth.
We're 56865. I advise you stay away from that aircraft. Go north as fast as you can.
United 93. Have you got information on that yet?
Yeah, he's down.
He's down?
Yes.
When did he land?
He did not land.
Oh, he's down?
Yes,
Down?
somewhere up northeast of Camp David.
I just want you to look at this is the hole in the ground that they say is where a large passenger airline crashed. Where's the wreckage, family? Where's the plane? Where are the seats? Where are the wheels? Where are the engines that weigh tons upon tons? Where's the tailpiece? Where's the wings? I mean, honestly, you know, they take the public as fools. Let me just quickly say, Stephen Brown says, I was in that environment at the time. He wasn't. Well, how do you know where Tucker Carlson was at that time? And whether you were in the environment or not, what difference does that make? Just because you were in the environment, what does that mean? What do you know that everybody else who has borne witness to what Carlson is saying today? Like I said, Carlson is just repeating things that have been said and have been verified as actual facts and truth for years now. I really don't understand the man saying I was in that environment. He wasn't. How do you know where he was? He's an American, isn't he? How do you know that he wasn't right on the spot when it happened? And he's not saying that he was on the spot. He's now quoting from documents from the FBI and from other verified facts that have never been answered sufficiently by the government, who put out this fairy tale about the hijacking and the way things went down. I don't know what you're really disputing, Brother Stephen, because it really doesn't make much sense to me.
Northeast of Camp David.
Sean, it's me. I just wanted to let you know I love you, and I'm stuck in this building in New York. There's lots of smoke, and I just wanted you to know that I love you always.
At number 2 World Trade Center, right. Ladies and students in this office, we're not ready to die, but it's getting bad.
I'm on the 83rd floor. I'm gonna die, aren't I? No. I'm gonna die.
Liv, say your prayers.
God.
We're gonna think positive because you gotta help each other get off the floor.
I'm
Now,
gonna die. I know.
A new type of war. That's what it is.
This is a heavy, heavy time, dear family. And I want you to think about and ask yourself the question, why did they do this? Why was this done? Why did this event take place on September the 11th, 2001? What was the purpose behind it? I can remember on September the 11th, 2001, sitting, talking personal, this is myself, sitting in London and looking at the television in utter disbelief at what was unfolding on the screen. And I was wondering about the people who must be in those buildings. That's what was going through my mind, because, you know, it was obvious this is the World Trade Center, and those buildings are full of human beings. So what must have been happening to those people? What was happening, man? It was really unbelievable to witness something like this, you see? And then to have the world be told that this was Muslims who did this. I'm a Muslim. And the idea that Muslims would do such a thing, that we would be so wicked and callous. Now, man, there was something wasn't too right about this, dear family. And so you have to question, what was the motivation behind such an act that was so grotesque? And the whole world, the whole of the human family, because remember, Satan's going to deceive the whole world. Everybody was watching this. Everybody could see this. Very, very diabolical. Very, very satanic, dear beloved family.
Looked like an aim for the center of the building.
What's going through your mind when you see a plane crash into the World Trade Center?
All I was thinking about at the time was I was worried about the people. You started seeing some really disturbing things, some people trying to get out of the building and by jumping.
You saw people jump?
I did see people jump.
Let me just warn anybody who is of a nervous disposition, or, you know, if you're easily upset, and I can't blame you if you don't want to look at certain things. There are images in this video that can be very, very disturbing. So I would say to you, you know, if you don't want to have those types of visions and memories or things on your mind, then please do not look at some of these images contained within this video.
I personally saw about 6 people, and I think that's when I was done, and I had to get away.
So Stephen Brown says, when I saw the environment, when I say the environment, many of us saw the first plane hit North Tower. It was a powerful impact from the street. So there was no question that building was coming down. No, sir. No, sir. Look at the building. There's a hole near the top of the building. None of the rest of the building is troubled or destroyed. Why would the building fall down? Maybe, okay, let's argue and say the top half of the building that's been hit by the plane could fall off. But why would the rest of a steel frame building going all the way to the ground, how could that fall down, dear brother, in the manner in which it did, where all of the concrete and steel was absolutely destroyed? How? By a plane making a hole in a building? These buildings were designed to withstand the impact of airplanes, because at the time when they were built, they were the tallest building on the planet. Stop it, brother. Think. Don't be so foolish as to think that a plane hitting the tower is going to cause all of the infrastructure of that building to just be compromised to the degree where they're going to fall down like that. It doesn't make any sense. Do you understand that planes have hit buildings before in many, many different parts of the world, and no building, no high-rise building ever hit by a plane has ever fallen down like these Twin Towers came down that day? Come on, man. Think, man. Put your thinking cap on. Don't just go with the narrative because the government told you something. Now you can't get that out of your head and you think, oh, they must be right.
Holy shit, Martin. That's the other building. That's terrorists. Other building? That's terrorists, bro.
What did you say?
I was coming outside of my apartment in the morning and I heard a loud buzzing. I looked up, plane's like maybe 100 feet up, went straight, or more than 100, and just crashed. The first plane hit there, blew up. 10 minutes later, I'm standing around looking at another plane. I didn't see it, but I heard it, same noise, the buzzing, and just crashed into the second building.
You saw both of them?
I saw the first one. The second one I heard it and exploded in people's witnesses.
What did the first plane look like?
It looked like a passenger jet, a huge 747 one.
What just happened?
I saw 4 or 5 bodies jumping out of the northernmost tower around 9 o'clock.
Jumping or falling?
I'm sorry. I couldn't tell if they jumped or fell. I mean, they were falling when I saw them.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
By the way, I mean, honestly, I'm just giving you, I'm touching the tip of the iceberg in terms of all of the evidence that has been gathered over the years to demonstrate that this is an absolute fake story that the public has been fed about why those buildings came down. And if you understand, for instance, like the people who are in the cracks, there's people in the cracks of the building where the airplane went in. Okay, you could see them. I've got other videos that show you the people in those cracks. And the only reason why the people were jumping wasn't because of flames, because as you can see, it's black smoke, meaning that the flames have actually gone out in those areas now because jet fuel burns out. It's like paraffin. It's literally like that. It makes a big flame and then it goes. But then what was causing the people to jump was the fact that they couldn't breathe. It was the smoke. They were choking. These people were dying through smoke inhalation. Do you understand, family? This is what was causing people to jump, not flames licking at their backs, because the flame had mostly gone out. When you saw the towers, you saw them emitting smoke, not flames. Not flames going down the building, burning up the building. There was no such thing like that happening on the day.
Oh my God. God.
That's the jet fuel.
Oh my God. Holy shit, I just got that. Oh my God. Oh my God.
The people are jumping out of them?
Yeah, people jumping out.
What else can we do? I feel so sick seeing these people jumping.
Stephen Brown says it was 20,000 pounds of jet fuel, brother. It doesn't matter how much it was, brother. You saw the jet fuel burn up just now in that massive explosion. Jet fuel did not bring down those buildings. Jet fuel burns at approximately 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? It takes over 2,000 degrees to melt steel, brother. That's the actual facts. That's the reality. So jet fuel was not what brought down those buildings.
Oh my God. Is that a person right there?
No, he goes straight down.
Is that a person right there?
They go straight down, Rich. There you go.
Oh! That's a big.
Oh my God. I thought somebody was jumping. Good, that can hurt somebody fall.
Hey, look right there. That's a person.
Two of them.
Oh!
The father is like, let's go, I love you. Let's go.
Oh my God.
If I was up there, I'd rather jump out and die than burn.
Yeah, you just saw that?
Some of those people are actually laughing. They think it's entertainment. That's how stupid some people are. You know, like it's like when you see these incidents happen now and everybody grabs their phone, and instead of trying to help and prevent the thing from happening, we start recording with our phones, because that's how dumbed down people have become, where for some people this is like entertainment. Wow, look, wow, great, wow. Sick people, man. Dumb as hell.
Yeah, I told you. People are stuck up there.
No, dude, you cannot run out and hit the Millennium Tower, okay? You're not Flash Gordon. You can't do that.
Better than burning. What? Go up there.
Did you really be saying stupid?
The windows blew out, the whole desk blew out the window.
How'd you get out of the building? How'd you get out of the building?
Down the stairs by the grace of God.
You know what's on the stairs? Let's see, out of there. We're going to fly. You heard it was a suction that's right.
Stay here, don't move here. Stay here.
Stephen Brown says, my junior high school girlfriend died in the North Tower. Well, as I said, brother, you're being emotional. You know, condolences to the family for that terrible and tragic death. That's a reality. However, that doesn't change any of the actual facts that we're dealing with here today. Just because you lost somebody in there, and make no mistake about it, hundreds of thousands of people lost people on that day, which again, we will demonstrate in a few minutes. But that doesn't take away from actual facts. Just because you lost somebody doesn't make you the only person who knows facts about this case. You see, that's the point we're trying to get across here.
What'd you say?
People were jumping out of the window.
Yeah.
I was dropping my daughter off from school, riding along the bike path along the river, and I saw a big airplane over my head, very low, and I looked up and I thought, what in the world is this plane doing here? It's too low. And I looked up behind me and I saw this huge airplane crash into the side of the World Trade Center. And then I was in shock, as was everyone, and we were standing there talking, how could something like this happen? And then all of a sudden, a smaller airplane slammed right into the other tower. I saw both of them happen. It was horrible.
And have you also noticed how many different angles they were able to get? Film all of this from? Like, you know, cameras were set up, man, because this was an incident that was going to take place on that day, and it had to be recorded. I just want us to think today, family.
Check, can you get it in center screen? Hi, it's Melinda. Can anybody hear me? Can anybody give me information? What's the plan? We are up. We understand police have banned helicopters from getting too close. We will have to stay back and cannot get correctly over the scene. We will do our best. Oh my God! Oh!
Press lines are right there.
We can't get any closer?
No more. No, you don't want. You don't want. Another person?
Did you see that? What?
About 9 o'clock.
You saw?
Yeah, I saw about 4 people.
4 people jumping?
Yeah.
Bodies.
They looked like they were skydiving. They had their hands out like this, and their light was like, you know how you skydive?
You saw that too?
Oh, serious?
Yeah, they were coming at it. They had no choice.
A guy just dropped about 15, 20
Either
minutes
burn
ago.
or die from the smoke. They just figured it like a woman. Holy cow! Anytime you see something going on, fam, you know what it is? He's down for it. You know what it is? It's that damn smoke. Yeah,
That's right.
Guy jumped out of the window.
Did you get that, Amanda? No. Amanda, use your duck like center.
Oh, I can't do it.
No, she isn't. She's 92. Hang in there. We all got out. Let's go as far north as you can, right, folks? Really not safe here. I'm telling you, right?
Brother Ronald Thompson from Birmingham, England says it looks like a Hollywood film production. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely, my dear brother.
Whoa!
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Controlled demolition. That's what you're looking at. Stephen Brown says, "Black man, I'm not being emotional. I just told you someone that was close to me a long time ago who died in the North Tower. That's all, a brother." Well, brother, unfortunately, you are being emotional because you keep on going on about this thing. I already told you, brother, deepest condolences to you and to the family of the person that you lost, but I don't understand what your point is. See, we're dealing here today with actual facts about a story which has been given to the world, which is not correct, about 4 airplanes bringing down buildings, 19 Islamic hijackers, and all the rest of the fairy tale, when in reality, we know that something else happened on that day, which was orchestrated by the United States government. This is the point that we're making today in relation to 9/11 and the fall of America. What you're trying to say is that you accept the narrative that has been given to the world, and we're saying that that narrative is fake. That has nothing to do with the fact that you lost somebody on the day. Lots and lots of people lost people on the day, but it doesn't take away from the actual facts of what happened on that day. Okay, so again, brother, you know, you may say you're not being emotional, but you sound pretty emotional to me today.
Get the bike out of here.
All the concrete in the buildings were pulverized. The concrete was pulverized because the concrete was exploded. The concrete didn't just fall apart. The building didn't just fall down because of some fires. Fire doesn't pulverize concrete. See, fire doesn't remove all of the steel structure from beneath the building so that it falls at free fall speed into its own footprint. We've got to put our thinking caps on today, family, and not allow emotion to cloud our vision so that now we're going to go along with a narrative which even a child, I'm saying a child, could absolutely debunk such a tale as this. Even on the day when I was watching it, man, I didn't quite know what was happening, but to me, it just didn't make sense when I saw these buildings coming down like that. That just looked, whoa, that's weird. I've never seen something like that. Little fires on top of a building, then the next thing you know, 110 stories of concrete and steel crash into the ground. You must be joking.
Oh my God!
That smoke is bad. Let's go.
Ooh, family. Sister Claudia is searching the internet, and she's found, if we can show it to you, she's found a building that burned for days. I mean, the whole steel frame building, it ain't falling nowhere. Steel frame buildings do not fall down when they're burnt by fire. Okay, you get all the furniture within and all the stuff within may burn up, whatever, but the steel frame stays intact. You may get warpage of the metal, it might bend a little or whatever, but they're not going to dismantle and fall down. That was the whole point in the first place of making them steel frame and concrete. Are you able to?
Myself.
Okay, don't worry.
Yeah,
Don't worry. If anything, maybe near the end, we can
Yes.
try. Now, dear family, watching people fall to their death because they could not breathe through the smoke and choosing to jump to certain death was and remains one of the most shocking things I have ever seen in my whole life. And those images can never be unseen. Okay, it's just, you know, what they did on that day, what happened on that day, it's seared into the hearts and minds of the members of the human family. And what makes it evil is how they concocted this story that 19 Muslims did this. See, that this was done by Islamic people because they just hate the freedom of the West and they hate, you know, the way the West lives. And, you know, we're just so wicked and evil that we had to come to America and blow up the World Trade Center. And unfortunately, most people bought it hook, line, and sinker. But let's just be very clear about who suffered and who died on September the 11th. Not just the friend of Stephen Brown, but the blue on the map here shows where the people who died on September the 11th, 2001 came from. And the red is supposed to indicate the origin of the terrorist attackers. So they're saying that the terrorists came from here in the red in the Middle East. But look at where the people who died came from. All around the globe. All of this blue represents the human population that was in the World Trade Center on that day, in the Marriott Hotel, in the streets, all around New York, black people, brown people, yellow people, red people, white people, poor people, rich people. See, understand this, family. So, you know, this idea that it was just America that got attacked on that day or America that suffered loss on that day. No, dear family. The members of the human family were affected by what Satan did on that day. Now let's hear from the man of God himself, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
I want you to pay attention to this. I said on November 25th, 2009, 9/11 was done by people in our own government and our own banking system to perpetuate the fear in the American people so that they might subordinate themselves so that the government may get them to do whatever they want us to do. And this was to create this endless war on terror. But the war on terror is a cover and a fraud for the real war, which is a war against Islam. In 2001, we experienced the horrific events of 9/11, but there are many who are saying that the official government version of events is not what really happened. As recently as this month, the Republican candidate in the Texas gubernatorial race, her name is Deborah Medina, publicly said on the Glenn Beck show, quote, "I think some very good questions have been raised. In that regard, there's some very good arguments. And I think the American people have not seen all the evidence there." But she quickly backed off of what she said. Now, listen to this. Why is it, these are questions about 9/11. I compiled them, but they're compiled by people who are scientists.
Listen to the questions, Brother Stephen Brown.
Who studied this. Why is it that the FBI's most wanted poster of Osama bin Laden mentions other crimes, but not 9/11?
See, if Osama bin Laden was responsible for 9/11, don't you think that that would be the top crime that he would be the most wanted for? Why all of these other crimes, but 9/11 is not even on the list? See, somebody slipped up. You see, and they plan all of this evil, but then they forget to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. You see? And that's a very obvious mistake that somebody made by blaming Osama bin Laden and Muslims, but then failing to put at the top of the list that 9/11 was perpetrated by Osama bin Laden and Muslims. Go ahead.
Sister Margaret is asking, is that the volume? Seems a bit low.
Yeah, unfortunately, dear sister, the volume is not the best on this particular video. See what you can do at home to, enhance your volume if you can, family.
Right before 9/11,
listen,
unusually high levels of quote-unquote put options were placed on the stocks of American.
Are you listening? This is what Tucker Carlson was just saying, okay? But look from when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was talking about this.
Levels of quote-unquote put options were placed on the stocks of American and United Airlines and corporate tenants of the World Trade Center. Put options are market bets that give the bettor a profit if the stock goes down. According to Bloomberg Business News, quote, "This would be one of the most extraordinary coincidences in the history of mankind if it..."
Extraordinary coincidence it would be, according to Bloomberg, if this was, in fact, just some coincidence.
Would be one of the most extraordinary coincidences in the history of mankind if it was a coincidence. Many people got rich by the bets that they made that the stock in American and United Airlines would go down. How did they know? How was the FBI able to release a list and photos of the hijackers within hours? Why have at least 5 of the 19 alleged hijackers turned up alive and well living in Saudi Arabia? And if the perpetrators were from Arabia, why are we fighting in Afghanistan and in Iraq? Well,
remember what the minister said, family. This is not a war on terror. This is a war on Islam. What you got to understand, dear beloved family, and why Brother Leo and Sister Claudia are members of the Nation of Islam, why we are Muslims, is because black people are Muslims by nature. Black people are the only people who have the position in this world that the enemy fears can undo all of their hegemony all over this planet, and they are fearful that Islam will once again rise back to the top to take back the position of rulership authored by God. And this is what they're fighting against. This is why Islam must be brought into disrepute. This is why Islam must be made synonymous with terrorism. It is not a war on terror, it is a war on Islam. And whether you know it or not, black man and woman, that means it's a war against you. See, this is what we're dealing with here today in this 9/11 scenario.
Afghanistan and in Iraq. Well, they say because Osama bin Laden was living in Afghanistan. The president of that country, Mullah Omar, when President Bush said that Osama bin Laden was guilty, and he dictated to Mullah Omar that they should turn over Osama bin Laden to the United States government and its authorities. And Mullah Omar said to President Bush, "Show me the proof that Osama bin Laden did this,
come on,
and we will turn him over to you." President Bush, with his arrogant self, said, "We're not negotiating with you. Turn him over or else." Now, what is America doing in Afghanistan? Trying to buy off the warlords? Boy, this is a sick people, man. You bomb them and laugh. Now they're kicking your behind, and now you trying to buy the allegiance of these people? Don't you know with a $25 million price on Osama bin Laden's head, why haven't somebody delivered him? See, to some people, money is not the answer. Listen, how, these are questions, how could these alleged hijackers have known that multiple classified air defense drills were planned for the morning of 9/11, leaving only 2 fighter jets available to protect the entire northeastern United States?
How many of you knew that, family? That there were multiple drills being conducted by the United States military on the morning of September the 11th. meaning that all of their forces are now diverted into doing all of these different drills. That's why initially, when even the so-called planes were hijacked and the military became involved, they were asking the question, Air Force members were asking the question, is this drill or real life? Because there were so many drills going on that day that they couldn't determine whether or not the so-called hijackings were real or whether the drills were the real thing. So this was deliberate confusion that was created so that there would be effectively a stand down, because, you know, family, when planes go off course, there are certain protocols that are in place in any developed nation like America or Britain or whatever, whereby the Air Force would immediately go into the air to intercept and to find out what was going on. But on that day, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has stated, there are only two fighter jets available to that part of America because everybody else was involved in drills. Who organized that? Who organized? Did Osama bin Laden and Muslims in a cave in Afghanistan organize that? I mean, honestly, family, we really, really have to appreciate how these people believe that we're fools.
Were planned for the morning of 9/11, leaving only 2 fighter jets available to protect the entire northeastern United States. How did Osama know that? So then, who planned the drills on that morning that no fighter jets were there to intercept these planes? Think about it. Why was Attorney General Ashcroft warned to stop using commercial airlines prior to 9/11? Let's go to the Pentagon. How come the hole in the Pentagon was 18 feet across, but the wingspan of a 757 is 146 feet?
Look at the hole. That's supposed to have been made by a 747 jetliner. I mean, honestly, we ain't going to waste no time, because those of you who still believe the fairy tale, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Are you listening? How come that little single-engine Piper P-828 plane that crashed into the IRS office in Texas did more damage to that building than a 757 jetliner filled with fuel did to the Pentagon? How does a pilot that failed his lessons on a one-engine...
The minister is talking about the so-called Islamic terrorist pilot who they said had been practicing on a one-engine plane and could hardly fly the one-engine little plane. The minister is now asking the question about how is it that they're now saying that this man who could hardly fly a small little plane that he was learning to fly on do what they say he did now with this 747 jetliner.
Does a pilot that failed his lessons on a one-engine propeller plane pull off maneuvers that only a highly trained airline pilot could do? A 270-degree turn at 500 miles an hour, descending 7,000 feet in 2.5 minutes into a direct hit. These just questions. Why were surveillance videos recording the impact of the Pentagon confiscated by the FBI immediately after the event?
My God.
Let's go to Pennsylvania, Flight 93. You remember the one that fell into Pennsylvania? There was a big fight on board, you know, and whatnot. You know, look. Why do you all say in church that the devil is a liar? He's the damnedest liar that ever lived. Look. Question. Why was there no visible airplane debris? Where Flight 93 supposedly crashed in Pennsylvania, only a smoking hole in the ground, no bodies, no seats, no wings, no luggage.
Whenever you ever seen an airline crash and there is no luggage, there's no bodies, there's no wings, there's no tail fin, there's no seats, there's no engines. Honestly, like I said, they see the members of the human family now as just fools. And they can just put that stuff out and we just swallow it all up. We watch the news and we're like, oh my God, look what these people have done.
The official story of 9/11 claimed that 10 sinful cell phone calls came from Flight 93, but the technology for airplane to ground cell phone calls didn't exist until 2004. Let's go to the World Trade Center. We're talking about the synagogue of Satan.
I hope you're listening, family. I hope you're listening, because the enemy is laughing, or should I say the enemy was laughing, but his world is rapidly coming down. We're talking about the fall of America. This map of the aftermath of the World Trade Center complex gives you some idea of the location of the buildings and the vast amount of devastation that was left in the wake of such a wicked action that was planned and executed by demonic beings. And when I say demonic beings, I'm not talking about some supernatural, spooky beings. I'm talking about human beings who are Satan and devil. And just look, here's World Trade Center 1, World Trade Center 2. These are the two 110-story towers that came down. And look at Building 7. Look where Building 7 is. Not hit by any plane, but again, fell down at free fall speed on the same day around 5 o'clock that evening. Just think about that, family. And this is the one that the BBC said fell before it fell. See, we're reading from a script. Just look at what these people did on that day and the amount of, I mean, literally 3,000 people killed in order to poison the mind of the human family against Islam. And many of us fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Six months before the 9/11 attacks, the World Trade Center was purchased by the Silverstein Group.
Listen.
I guess by that name, you might know that Mr. Silverstein might claim to be Jewish.
Come on.
But he bought the World Trade Center for $3.2 billion, even though the building, when it was built full of asbestos, and it would take darn near that amount of money to destroy the building and clean it. Larry Silverstein took out insurance coverage on the property, which fortuitously covered acts of terrorism. The total potential payout is $4.6 billion, and Mr. Silverstein has been paid. The result of a court ruling, Silverstein makes a huge profit off of the 9/11 attacks. And if you follow the money, you'll begin to see the synagogue of Satan at work. Now, George W. Bush's brother was a director, and his cousin was the CEO of the security firm responsible for the electronic security network of the World Trade Center prior to and during 9/11. At least one security guard at the World Trade Center reported the abrupt removal of explosive sniffing dogs 5 days prior to 9/11. Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting, brother.
Let's go on. No steel-framed building before or since 9/11 has ever collapsed due to fire. The World Trade Center buildings were designed to withstand the impact of airlines because they were at that time the tallest buildings in the world. The melting point of steel is about 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. The temperature of jet fuel fires does not exceed 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit. So the buildings cannot have collapsed due to heat from the fires. Why were people seen in the gaps left by the plane impacts if the heat from the fires behind them was so excessive? Listen, why were there two distinct spikes, one for each tower, seen in seismic records?
Did you hear that? Two spikes seen in seismic records on the day, one for the North Tower, one for the South Tower. In other words, explosions that are measured. You know, when an earthquake happens, there are seismic measurement devices that capture the earthquake, and they measure the magnitude of the explosion, or what takes place on the ground. Well, there were two spikes on that day, showing you that there were massive explosions that took place in both the South and North Tower of those buildings that precipitated the bringing down of the buildings. Oh man, I hope somebody's listening.
One for each tower, seen in seismic records before the towers collapsed. How could the World Trade Center towers collapse in free fall speed? Only 11 seconds, World Trade Center 1, and 9 seconds, World Trade Center 2, speeds that approximate that of a ball dropped from similar height with no air resistance. Wow. Why did so many people, including the New York Fire Department, report hearing many explosions at street level prior to the towers falling?
Controlled demolition.
were those men on top of a van with a tripod and camera across the Hudson River filming the towers before the first plane hit. How did they know to be there? And why were they celebrating? The police arrested them and let them go into Israeli custody. Why? Now, building number...
Can you see it? Can you see a pattern here? I'm not going to say anything. If you can't see the pattern, whoa.
Why? Now, building number 7, a 47-story skyscraper and part of the World Trade Center complex was not struck by a plane, but it collapsed in 6.5 seconds at 5:20 p.m. on September the 11th in the exact manner of a controlled demolition. Why was the U.S. military explosive thermate found in the dust of the World Trade Centers?
The military explosive called thermite, or the minister said thermate or thermate, however you pronounce it, that form of explosives is specifically military, and it's designed to melt steel. Why was that found in the rubble, in the dust, in the aftermath of those buildings coming down? Just questions.
Now, you might say, well, all right. Let's see if our government lies and does things and takes innocent life for other purposes. This is the end of my lecture today. Did you know that the United States wanted control over Puerto Rico, the Philippines, and Guam? So President William McKinley lied about an explosion on board the USS Maine anchored in Havana Harbor that killed 260 American servicemen. They said Spain did it, but they offered no evidence. And because of that war, the Spanish-American War, the U.S. gained control over Cuba and the Philippines and Puerto Rico.
Land grabs.
Cuba in particular, so that the island could be open to United Fruit Company and other American corporations. Did Lyndon Baines Johnson lie to get us into a major war in Vietnam? The official story was that the North Vietnamese torpedo boats launched an unprovoked attack against a U.S. destroyer on routine patrol in the Tonkin Gulf on August 2nd, 1964, and that the communists followed up with a deliberate attack 2 days later. None of this was true. President Lyndon Baines Johnson used the fabricated incident to justify a momentous escalation in the war, ultimately leading to over 56,000 American deaths and millions of Vietnamese casualties. Now, when John Fitzgerald Kennedy was the president, Castro was in power in Cuba, and they wanted to invade Cuba. Did you know that there was a memo from the Pentagon to the president? We could develop a communist Cuban terror campaign in the Miami area, in other Florida cities, and even in Washington. We could blow up a U.S. ship in Guantanamo Bay, the American military base in Cuba, and blame Cuba. Casualty lists in U.S. newspapers would cause a helpful wave of national indignation. Later, the Pentagon even suggested attacking Jamaica or Trinidad and Tobago and making it look as if the Cubans were responsible, hoping this might force Britain into a war on Fidel Castro. This is America. They don't care nothing about human life when it stands in the way of a political and economic objective. Now, brothers and sisters, you know there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. But look how many Americans, black, brown, and white, have lost their lives on the basis of a lie.
Family, I hope you appreciate on this anniversary of 9/11 the level of lies and deception that the members of the human family have been subjected to. Because of the asbestos dust and the many other toxic chemical substances that people were forced to breathe in on September the 11th, 2001, the death toll from cancers, congestive illnesses, and other unknown causes far exceed 3,000, and related deaths continue to rise even now, 23, 24 years later after the event. Just look at the state of this sister and this man here. I mean, the dust was just horrendous, and people are suffering to this day from various illnesses as a result of what they breathed in on that day, including explosive material called thermite.
Now, we know now that the crime that they say is at the root of terrorism was not committed by Arabs or Muslims at all. What did you say, Farrakhan? Over 2,300 of America's trained architects and engineers have joined in calling for a new investigation.
Over 2,000 engineers and architects, people who know about buildings, okay, dispute the reality of what these evil demons have put out in the news for over 20 years, okay? Engineers and architects.
Architects and engineers have joined in calling for a new investigation of 9/11. Well, what is 9/11? Some of you don't even know what 9/11 is. And that's really bad. 9/11 was the destruction of the World Trade Towers. Does it ring a bell now? They say that the World Trade Center buildings were brought down by carefully placed explosives, not by planes. They say that all three buildings had to have been wired with explosive.
This is what the architects and the engineers say, okay?
Placed explosives, not by planes. They say that all three buildings had to have been wired with explosive charges long before September the 11th. And this is something that took tremendous sophistication to do, and that sophistication was not with Osama bin Laden or his followers. Listen. But if it was not Muslims, then who? Thanks to the exemplary work of scholars like Victor Thorne and Christopher Boland, it is now becoming apparent that there were many Israelis and Zionist Jews in key roles in the 9/11 attacks. Now look, if they can prove me wrong, like I said, I'll pay with my life. Since they want to kill me anyway, prove me wrong. We're dealing with thieves and liars and murderers. Listen to this. We know that many Israelis were arrested immediately after the attacks, but quickly released and sent to Israel. We know that the World Trade Center building was insured by its owner, Larry Silverstein, right before the attack, and in the insurance clause, there was a clause that if the building were damaged by terrorist acts, Mr. Silverstein would get paid. And guess what? Mr. Silverstein got $4.8 billion. We know that an Israeli film crew dressed as Arabs were filming the Twin Towers before the first plane went in. In other words, these Israelis had foreknowledge of the attacks. Now look, you say, but planes went in to these towers. Yes, they did. But do you know what kind of technology you have to have as a pilot to fly a plane and drop down to an altitude and turn at an angle at 400 or 500 miles an hour into a building? And the fuel of an airplane is not strong enough to create enough heat to melt the steel structure of that building. We know that many Jews received a text message not to come to work on September 11th. Listen. Who sent that message that kept them from showing up? Within minutes of the attacks, Ehud Barak, the founder and master of the Israeli military's covert operation force, was in a London studio of the BBC blaming Osama bin Laden and calling for a war on terror. And we know that Benjamin Netanyahu told an audience in Israel, we are benefiting from one thing, and that is the attack on the Twin Towers and Pentagon and the American struggle in Iraq. He added that these catastrophes and wars would swing the American public opinion in the favor of Israel. Why won't America investigate what these scholars and scientists have uncovered about 9/11 and who was really behind it? It now appears that 9/11 was a false flag operation, which is an attack by one country, but made to appear like the attack came from another in order to start a war between them.
Dear family, man, I hope you got it, because this is what we are dealing with. I want to thank you for tuning in and being with us again, and I want to ask that Allah blesses each and every one of us with the light of understanding. I greet you, my dear family, in the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much, Brother Leo.
Praise be to Allah, Sister Claudia.
And on a much happier, inspiring note, we want to say happy 72nd anniversary tomorrow to the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan and Mother Khadija.
Praise be to Allah. 72 years of marriage.
So
wow.
we've got another 48 to go.
That's right. That's right.
Inshallah.
That's right.
Yeah, so praise be to Allah. They are such an example.
That's right.
To us of marriage. So we thank Allah for blessing us with two beautiful souls. You know, just that their marriage goals. So praise be to Allah. So family, don't forget, tune in to the Final Call Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and let's fill our minds with inspiring God spoken words from the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan. There is always something on the Final Call Radio that will touch you, that you need in your life. So don't forget, tune in to the Final Call Radio 24 hours, 7 days a week. And don't forget to subscribe to the Final Call newspaper. If you can't get the hard copy, you can get the digital copy and pay a small price every month. And you can get the whole truth, nothing but the truth, the only newspaper that is unbought and uncompromised. So don't forget, subscribe to the Final Call newspaper, and don't forget, tune in every Sunday to NOI.org. Our student minister, Ismail Mohammed, is doing fantastic lectures. The last one, especially The Will of God, Part 4, absolutely fantastic. And don't forget, treat yourself to one of the books from the Honourable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let's feed our mind with, you know, we're not in a playtime in this world that we're living in. It's not a play day. It's a very, very serious time that we're living in. So let's feed our minds with right guidance, knowledge and wisdom and the truth to set us free. And just to say thank you all for your comments this evening, this afternoon. Thank you, Brother Stephen Brown, for your comments as well. We're a family here. You know, you can say what is in your mind, and we're not judging.
Yeah, you're not gonna get shut down.
Yes.
You're not gonna get shut down. You can say what you want to say, as long as it remains civil, and we don't become disagreeable. For the sake of that, but praise be to Allah.
Thank you all for your time, taking your time to make comments, taking your time to actually sit down with us. We do not take it for granted. Time is just flying by very fast. We're halfway through the month of September already. Absolutely. So thank you all for tuning in. We pray that Almighty God Allah will continue to guide, bless, and protect you all and your families. Stay safe, stay strong,
stay blessed,
and keep the faith.
That's
We've got to have faith today to get through this time that we're living in. So thank you all and take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, beloved. And dear family, the movie breakdown, Sinners, went very, very well. It was beautiful, well attended, and we will be doing a part 2 very, very soon. Look out for that. We'll let you know when that is happening. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Take care, family.
Take care.